Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at the drugs everyone is talking about. You've seen them everywhere, heard the buzz, but the real story behind these so-called miracle weight loss drugs, well, that's what we're here to uncover. Yep, I'm talking about names like Ozempic and Wegovy. They've absolutely exploded because of their weight loss effects. But believe me, their actual story is way more complex and, honestly, way more fascinating than you probably think. So, are they really a miracle drug for weight loss? I mean, that's a huge claim, right? Well, when you look at the results from the clinical trials, the numbers are pretty jaw-dropping. Check this out, 13.8%. That was the average reduction in body weight for patients after just 52 weeks in the trials. That is a really, really big deal. And for some people, it was even more dramatic. Get this, about a third of the folks in the study lost over 20% of their body weight. We're talking about a completely transformative, life-changing impact for a lot of people. Okay, so how on earth did we get here? To really get what these drugs are all about, we have to rewind and look at their surprisingly weird origin story. And this is maybe the most fascinating part. They were never even meant for weight loss, not at all. They belong to a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists, and they were first developed to help people manage type 2 diabetes. That was their whole purpose. And the journey to get here is just incredible. It all started back in the 80s when scientists first discovered this natural hormone, GLP-1, in our gut. But the real breakthrough, that came in 1992, from the venom of a Gila monster. No, I'm not kidding. Scientists found a peptide in its saliva that works just like our GLP-1, but it was way more durable. That single discovery is what led to the first FDA-approved drug for diabetes in 2005, and eventually to the powerful weight management drugs we have today. Okay, so we know where they came from, but how do they actually work? Well, you can think of it like flipping a master switch inside your body. So, like we said, our bodies have this natural hormone called GLP-1. Right after you eat, it's released, and its job is to help regulate pretty much everything. Your appetite, your insulin, your blood sugar. It's a really important player in your metabolism. But here's the problem. Our own natural GLP-1, it's gone in a flash. It gets broken down by our body in just a couple of minutes, so all those great effects don't last very long. And that is where these drugs come in. They're basically synthetic, super-powered versions of our own hormone. They're specifically designed to resist being broken down, which means they keep that metabolic master switch turned on, not for minutes, but for hours or even days. And when that switch stays on, look at what happens. Your stomach empties out slower, so you feel fuller longer. It tells your brain you're not hungry, and it helps your pancreas release insulin when your blood sugar is high. It's like this amazing multi-level effect that tackles both blood sugar and appetite at the same time. But wait, the story takes another huge, surprising turn. It's not just about weight loss or even diabetes. Researchers started to notice another incredibly powerful benefit. It turns out these drugs are actually amazing for your heart. And honestly, this might be one of the most exciting parts of this entire story. And you can see why right here. It's not just one single thing. You're controlling blood sugar, you're losing weight, you're lowering blood pressure. It creates this powerful domino effect of good things for your entire cardiovascular system. They can even help stabilize the plaque in your arteries, which is absolutely critical for preventing heart attacks. And hey, this isn't just a theory. Big clinical trials, like the SUSTAIN trials mentioned here, found a huge reduction in what they call major adverse cardiovascular events. We're talking heart attacks, strokes, the really serious stuff. A 26% reduction? That's just a massive, massive deal in medicine. In fact, one landmark study found a 20% lower risk of these events in patients who were obese but didn't even have diabetes. That's how we know the heart benefits aren't just a side effect of losing weight. It's something the drug itself is doing. Of course, a drug this powerful is going to have a flip side. It's not all sunshine and roses. So we have to take a balanced look at the risks and the realities of using them. So you have to weigh the pros and cons, right? On one side, you've got these incredible benefits we've been talking about. But on the other, you have common side effects like nausea, some more serious but rare risks, and then the big practical problems. They're really expensive, and getting insurance to cover them can be a nightmare. And yeah, we do need to talk about those serious side effects. Things like pancreatitis and intestinal obstruction have been reported.
Now, they are rare, but some studies have shown an increased risk compared to older weight loss drugs. So while your overall chance of getting these is still really low, it's definitely something patients and their doctors have to talk about.
But you know what? The story is far from over. Because these drugs tap into such a fundamental system in our bodies, scientists are now wondering, what else can they do? They're looking into using them for everything from osteoarthritis and headaches to neuropathic pain and IBS. The potential here is just enormous. So that leaves us with one big final question. When you think about a single class of drugs that could potentially treat obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, and maybe a whole bunch of other chronic conditions, are we standing on the edge of a medical revolution? Could these drugs fundamentally change how we treat chronic disease forever?